So now in this case, I'm mainly using the basic data and the container for this example. So later when we go to the in detail topics, we will see what is a triggering events and terminating events and all. So in the basic data, generally what we will do is, what is the action we need to perform for this task, that we will define in the basic data. That means whatever the methods, the task is nothing but it should perform some action. So that action where we have defined, we have defined in the business object method. So here we are linking our standard task to the business object method. So this is the place where we will map this to business object and the method. Okay, so in the second step, in the container, so first let's do it here for basic data part for this case. So abbreviation is nothing but giving any identification name. So I'm giving ZWF underscore and display. The name we can give anything like display sales order, and here the object category. Object category is nothing but, see, here we have two types. Now we are concentrating on business object. Now we are concentrating on business object. Also we have another option called by using classes. So this I will tell you at the end of the classes. This I will tell you at the end of the before ending of the sessions, because both are the same. Okay, generally as we have a standard BORs, I am telling you how about the BORs, but the classes is also same. I can create a class and I can assign the same thing here. There is no difference for the classes. It's nothing, just we have to implement some interface, that's it. The super type we have to take one workflow interface, that is enough. Okay, so but here I'm taking a BOR object type and ZWF, this is the business object I have used, and if you go to F4 and I have to call display order. Okay, so the missing, it is giving a pop-up like these I didn't check, so it is copying from business object like synchronization object method with dialog, and this we will see in the detail later. So I have assigned the action to this standard task, and now go to container, and here the container is the place where I can define a local variables to this task. So already it is created like a sales document. So how to create, just it's like giving an ABAP reference like VBAK, VBLN, like this. I have created this variable. So here remember, this is the variables which are, these are the predefined when you are creating the task, but we can define our own attributes here. Like if I go to change of this one, so you can change if you want again also. Okay, I given as a reference to VBAK table, and if you come to properties, I defined as an import parameter. That's it. Okay, so this variable is local to my task, means to this standard task. Okay, and if you see here, if we go to, if I double click here, I can go to the display method also. So I'm double clicking here. Okay, so it came to my business object, and go to methods, and here display order I defined a parameter. Sorry, click program. I selected display order and click parameters. If you see, I have defined another variable here. This variable is local to only to this method. Okay, so here what we have to do, the variable which we have defined here, this we need to pass to the method, right? I need to pass this container variable, so I need to pass to this method. How I can pass? It's not a ABAP code to pass like changing or something. It's like something GUI related screens. So here we have a concept called data binding, binding the object method. So from the task I am going to binding to the object method. So this object method I am going to bind from my task. So this binding, see, actually we have different types of binding throughout the workflow. Okay, so first time we are seeing a binding from your task to the business object. This binding is called task to business object binding. Okay, so that means I am passing my container variable to this method. So I am passing my task to business object method. So binding to object method. So double click here, see here. By seeing this screen, you can clearly see here this part which you are seeing is a task. So whatever is there in the container of this task, it will be visible here. So this is the our additional variable which we have defined other than the standard predefined attributes. So this is our additional. And if you look at here, this part is business object method container, means variables. Okay, so I am going to see here we have two types of bindings. Look at here, this part is to bind from your task to method. In some scenarios, what we can do, from the method we can export to the external world. In that case we have to, in the task we need to receive, but the method needs to export. In that case we have to take this part. But in the current scenario, what we are doing, we are passing the data from task to method. So this part we have to take from task to method. So what is the task variable? This is the task and this is the variable. So I am mapping this sales document to method sales document. Is it clear? So that's it. So I am binding from task to method. Just remember, so when you are practicing more and more, you can clearly understand this one. Okay, so I have done my binding part and I assigned my business object method to my task and everything was over. So now just click, system will generate one standard task number. But if you want to identify any number, this is the number and we can identify this task by using this abbreviation, whatever the abbreviation we have given. Okay, so till this part, now we have completed, we have created a business object and now we have, okay, yeah, just I created sales document and this I am using and I am passing this to my method. So here I used binding from task to my business object method, that you can see here. I'm passing from task to method. In some cases we can also get from method to task. This will come when we go for the complex cases. Now we created a task. So we have done business object and now we have done a standard task. So now what is left? So the single step which is left is creating a workflow template. So till now we have defined three different objects. So those are independent. Business object is independent, task is independent. Now we are going to, inside the task I use the business object. Now I am going to define a workflow template. Inside the workflow template I am going to use my standard tasks, so that all the three are connected. Like how my workflow template contains a standard task, the task contains a business object method to execute. Yeah, now I'm going to create a workflow template. Now come back and now we came to third step, that is creating a workflow template. And this task is clear, and now I'm going to create workflow template. WF underscore, I'm going to define ZWF underscore order. Okay, I forgot to say one more thing in the standard task. ZWF. See, here we have two more parts we need to discuss. See, here I have release status. So to utilize this task in other cases, we have to release this task. So make it as modal implement, but we can do at a single step also, directly released also we can do. So I'm going to release directly and save it. Okay, so here the work item text. Okay, so whenever this task is executed, and if suppose if we are sending this one as a work item, we need to define like what is the text which needs to be displayed in user's inbox. So we can mention like display sales order which is created, or display sales order, and but here we want to pass the order number also. How we can pass? We have to take this container elements, because here only we have sales document. So this I need to place here. After display sales order, I want to display the order number. So this is the place where you can insert variables. Okay, select this one, and what is our variable? Sales document. Okay, so this is how you can make your work item text dynamic by using the container variables. Okay, so just save it. Okay, we have released this one when we have created the work item text. Now we'll go to create a workflow template. Okay, one thing I have to do additional step, so this I will tell you later. So for to execute this one, we have to do one step. So this I am doing agent assignment. So this I will tell you later. Okay, what is this and all? General task. Okay, so I have created a business object method, and I have binded. I created a task, and I called the business object method, and I did the binding from task to business object. Now we'll create a workflow template now. EF TC, and now I'm going to create workflow template and create. So now here for the workflow template, look at here, we have different tabs. Okay, if you look at here, the basic data is same like our standard task thing. Here we no need to bind like business object, because it's having some steps. Those steps we are going to define in the workflow builder. So here just we need to provide only the abbreviation to identify the workflow template. So I can say JWF underscore order. This is like an identifier number, and the name in a description. Okay, I'm going to release, and now this also we can give like, yeah. So this way, before giving this text, look at the other tabs. The description is we can give a long description for this workflow template, and here the main thing is container and triggering events. Okay, so the container is also same. The variable means the variables which we are going to define here are global to this workflow template. Global, why I'm saying global? The workflow template is might have suppose 10 steps. Okay, all the steps can access these variables. I can say local to this template, but it's a global to all tasks which are defined inside your workflow builder. Here this container is workflow container, but previously we have defined a container there in the task, right? That is a task container. Now here it is the workflow container. Now before going to container, in the container what I am going to do is I am going to define another variable, sales document. So I am referring to this one to VBAK, VBLN. So this also I am taking parameter as import and export. Okay, so here why I selected both, because I am taking this one from the sales order which is created as an import, and this I need to export to my standard task. So I selected both the cases here, and so I am clicking OK. Okay, so here also I did, and I created a single variable, and this variable is global to all tasks throughout the template. And you can see the difference when I am binding this to the task. Okay, sales order display, and here I am using the same variable which is created in the container. Okay, so but this sales document should get the value from some place, right? So how that we will bind, that you can see here. So now we came to a concept called triggering events in the workflow. Okay, so in this tab what we are going to do, we are going to define and telling the system when this workflow needs to be started. Okay, when this workflow needs to be started, whenever my business object event got created, I need to start my workflow. I created an event in the business object, right? What is that event? Created event. So if you select this one, and what is the object? ZWF underscore demo 01 and created. So I defined an event, so that came in the effort. Okay, so now here we have defined the event. Till this part it is clear. Now here also we have a concept called call binding editor. Okay, so in this case what I need to bind, I need to bind from my business object to my workflow. Look at here, the first part here is event from the business object. Okay, so here you can see the field called event object. Okay, let me go to business object again now. if you look at here, this is defined as a key which we had defined, right? So the key of it contains sales document, right? So whenever, if you see, look at here in the workflow template, here obj key, this contains the sales document number. Okay, so this I need to map to what is the one, sales document number. Okay, so now I have binded my business object key to sales document. So now here the binding is from where to where? The binding is from business object event to workflow container. Binding between event created to business object event to workflow. This binding is called event to workflow binding. Previously we saw task to business object. Okay. And also if you see, look at here, event creator is mapped to workflow initiator. Okay, so what is this is event creator? Who will be the event creator? That I will show you next thing, because we have to raise this event from our program through our VA01 and or through our custom code, but somewhere we need to trigger the business object event. Once the event is triggered, workflow will be started automatically and it will execute the task which is assigned to this workflow, and it will execute the business object method. So this is the flow how it will go from whenever you save the transaction to how it will send the work item to a particular person. Okay, so I am clicking OK. So now what I did the binding between business object event to my workflow container, and also here the status, whether if it is active then only it will be activated. So just click okay, 1 second. It's asking to save, so just save it, and I am saving in this one. Okay, so I have activated this one. See, this is called the event linkage to workflow template. One section also. So this is called event linkage to workflow template. The transaction is SWE2. This is the one more transaction where you can see which business object events are mapped to which workflow templates. I will show you here once. So here business object event is mapped to here one workflow. This is the one case, but if you want to see there are n number of business objects and the workflows, right? If you want to see which business object mapped to which workflow, you cannot go and see each workflows which are available. So that is the reason why we have the concept called event linkage to workflow. So if you look at here, this they have given the activate in the latest versions, but in the previous versions you have to manually go to SWE2 and there you have to maintain. I'll show you this transaction. See, event type to linkage. If you look at here, you can see business object event mapped to receiver. Here WS means workflow templates. If you look at here, our case, we have activated for object is JWF. What is our object? Demo01. If you look at here, see the BOR, our object created event mapped to my workflow. If you look at this number 98000325, my workflow number is also same. See here 98000325. So whenever you activate it, this configuration is happened automatically and it will have a linkage here in the SWE2. If you want to look at standard events, now I want to see the purchase order related information like BUS 2012. Look at here, there are different events. See here in this, for changed event they have created some custom workflow, or I think this might be function module. Okay, if you look at here created, there is a workflow assigned here. Whenever there is a release step created, a different workflow is there. Like this you can check what are the workflows assigned, and here this needs to be active. Okay, type linkage active or not. If it is active, then only this workflow will be triggered. Otherwise it will not trigger. So you look at here, in this case this workflow will not start if we, even though this business object event created is triggered, workflow will not start because it's not active. So nothing we did here, just we map business object event to workflow and we have activated. So till now just we have defined the workflow template, but we didn't create any steps as of now.